Hi and welcome to another Patreon video. This is for February 2018. And okay, so I'm just gonna really get into it right away, what's been going on this month. So I usually get sick at least once, twice, 3, 4 times a year. I get some kind of really bad cold, usually from one of my kids. And it's bad, like it's almost always really bad, but I never stay home. I always tough it out and go to work, and I'm like, I'm coughing, and I'm just a mess. Well, this time I thought I had the same kind of a thing going on, but it turns out that it was actually the flu. And I went to work with the flu just kind of starting on me, and the next day I was... Oh, no, that night, as I was about to get ready to go home, and I'm staying late, and I'm like, oh, I feel like garbage, and I'm falling asleep, and I'm trying to work, and suddenly I begin to freeze. I start freezing. I feel like, and I'm like, oh no, this is bad. This is really bad. So it turns out that I had a fever at that point. I'm at work, and if you don't understand, I live an hour away from home. So that meant that I had to, like, with a fever, pack up all my stuff, knowing that I wasn't going to return to work the next day. This was on a Tuesday night, and so I'm packing up my computer, and I'm packing up all my stuff, and I'm turning off my computer, and I forgot to upload my work to the server just in case I don't come back at all. But I'm freezing, and this happened second to last week of January. So about January, what's the date here? Let me really quickly take a look if there's a really quick way I can look. About January 24th. So it was pretty late in the month, and it was 23rd, and then the 24th is when I stayed home, and I was just out. Like it knocked me out, like, bad. I ended up going to the doctor, and he told me, yep, you got the flu, and here's some medicine, and good luck. And I was like, so I got a new patron come in for coaching, and I was just out. And I'm like, oh man, I got the flu, I'm sorry. And I'm trying to, and so I was going to try to, like, do a chat with them, but I couldn't. I had to postpone it until, like, another day. So on Wednesday I was out. Thursday I pushed myself out of bed to have the conversation with the person that was going to start coaching. And then I went right back to bed, and I was just so wasted. And because of that, I kind of lost a lot of drawing time. And it isn't because I couldn't draw in bed. I did. I actually was doing some doodles and sketches in bed, but it wasn't what I had been, like, it just threw out my discipline. So I have a lot of little things that I was drawing, but it wasn't what I would hand to out on as a patron reward, because it was extremely personal. It was a thing for my wife. So but part of that will be in this month's rewards. So speaking of that, let's begin talking about this month's rewards. Now, there was great so these sketches and thumbnails here, I'm going to be putting up a video where you could see what I'm doing here and what I was thinking, and the entire point was to come up with a tower design. So this is where I came up with. You'll see the video of how I did that, and now you'll have the actual artwork itself. And by the way, excuse me for any coughing and clearing of my throat, because I'm still recovering from that flu. I'm recording this 3 weeks after the fact, and I'm still recovering. Actually, 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that. It's just to let you in on the secret. I'm recording this on February 4th. So my flu was in January 24th. So I don't know, do the math. It's about a week and a half, something like that. Okay, so this is the work in progress digital version of the Harley Quinn postcard that I have yet to start doing the analog version of, the physical version of. But there will be a physical version of this postcard, and I'm going to give it away for free. And the reason why I haven't finished this is because, and why this is a work in progress. First of all, this version here has tone, which is something I don't usually do in a postcard. And second, the final version will be in color. So this is a value study, so that I put some color, digital color on it, so I could know how I'm going to color it when I color the actual physical final postcard. And I'm going to tell you the winner of this postcard once I do it, and I will send it off near the end of the video. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to be giving away. This is the mock-up, or the rough, the digital rough version of what I'm going to be giving away. So I don't actually have the postcard. I usually go, here's the postcard, blah blah blah, and then I show you. But I don't have this drawn yet. So once I finish working out what the colors are supposed to look like, then I'm going to color. I'm going to do what I usually do, which is I do a blue line printout, a light non-photo blue printout of the digital version. I hand ink that, and I usually just put like some Copic grays. Well, this time around I'm going to see about using some markers myself, or watercolor. It depends on how many markers I need, and if I have the markers I need to do the color. But first I'm going to do a digital pass, so I know what colors to pick and how I want the final to look like. So I will see about maybe next month's video showing you what it looks like. I don't know. I'll think about it. I usually make a scan of the final so I could have a copy for myself, even if it's not the original, because I do give away the original. Usually I'm really proud of my postcards, so and I don't want to give them away, but hey. Another reason I'm doing this is because I've been wanting to get into painting and coloring analog, because I've started doing it more and more digitally, and I'm beginning to feel more comfortable doing it, but I'm not comfortable doing it physically, and that is a problem. I don't like not being able to do it physically, not being confident at all. And the only way to get confident doing something like doing color on paper is to do it. That's it, and mess up, and learn from messing up, learn from what's working, what's not working. But you have to do it. Like, I have all the theory in my head, but it isn't until you're actually doing it physically, and you're actually fighting or messing up or getting the product out right, that things start to click and you start getting more and more confident, and then you're like, oh yeah, I can handle it. But at first it's just like, oh, I'm scared of, oh. That's where I'm at right now. I'm like, oh, yeah. All right, so working now, trying to get some of the artwork done for the folds lesson that I'm doing. Thankfully, this is going to be the last of the level 1 lessons, so I'm excited to finally get to them. All right, so this is the big drawing that I've been working on for the whole month, most of the month. And this is going to be painted digitally. So I'm being very careful about all this stuff, and I'm inking it and all that, but it will be painted. And at first I didn't have, like, if you notice that there's like these kind of gray bars here on the sides. Well, this is the actual size that I started in. This is the 11 by 17 size paper that I started in. And then I realized that I'm gonna have this final painting at the end once I'm done. And I realized that I needed to do something more with it than just have like a print, especially for my patrons. So what I did was I looked up the measurements of wallpapers and wallpaper screens and stuff like that. So I realized that this would be a good wallpaper, but it would need to be expanded so that I could make different versions. I could crop some up, or I can make them longer depending on your screen size. So by the time that I'm done with the painting, I'll have different versions of the wallpapers of this. So you'll have a digital wallpaper for your computer, and that I will give away as to my patrons. So this is just the line work version. Some of the tone is kind of already in here. This is going to be a gray tone over here. This background here. These characters here in the foreground are actually going to be the darkest things in the drawing. But as far as line work goes, right now they work best just leaving them white so that you could clearly see them. But they will be the darkest things in the drawing. So this is kind of the darkest area. The mid ground will be the mid gray, and then the sky will be the lightest area. And then we've got some pterodactyls here. And now originally I had the floating tower was going to be here. So I decided that I was going to design it, which is what those silhouettes were. This is the part of what I did while I was sick. I was designing my wife's head just so I could be able to draw her. This is one of a lot of variations that I did. And this isn't even the final version that I ended up deciding to go with. The final version is much more, even more cartoony and kind of cute. But it was something that it's extremely personal between myself and my wife, so I thought I just can't share it with my patrons, but I can share some of it. So here's some of my sketches. This character here is a rough because a few weeks back, if you look at my YouTube channel, you're gonna see that I did some Moho Animation Studio videos, and I decided I was gonna do I was gonna rig a character, but before I rigged the character, I needed to be able to draw the turnaround myself, because I found that using Moho, what you need to do is do all the artwork first, and then go and take the rough artwork and kind of ink it in Moho so that you can then animate it. But you have to do all the artwork first outside of Moho on paper or on Photoshop, or in my case Manga Studio, and work out all the animation, or work out all the movement and all that stuff, so that when you build the character in Moho, you know where you're going, because Moho is not very good at helping you draw and stuff. It's really like it's kind of bad for that, but it's good for doing a final pass, but it's not good for doing a rough pass. So I this was my experimental character that I was going to rig, that I did rig, sort of. I was kind of mid-rig. I was kind of, I put some bones on him, at least I think in this pose, but I haven't done any more. Okay, speaking of that tower, this was my first version of the tower. I do this version in the video itself. But then I went home, then for the rest of the week I did experimentations and variations of the tower. Now, what ended up happening, because I was kept on doing these variations, and it was based off of this ink blot here, is that when I was doing these, I realized that I had no background to this tower in the first place. So part of the problem that I was having was I was doing all these versions of the tower without knowing what the tower's history was. So what was it supposed to look like? Like, if I don't know what its purpose is precisely, then what is it supposed to look like? And I ended up replacing the tower with in that final big drawing with pterodactyls. And so I decided that I needed to sit down and really world build the comic that I'm doing. These characters are going to be part of a comic, and I'm doing these stories, and they're all based on my wife's characters from her novels. And I think I've talked about this in a previous video, because I was doing head turns for them. So this is me using those head turns to do these drawings. And so I'm doing this tower, and because the world building, the version of her characters that I'm doing is slightly different than in her books. I mean, basing it off of those characters in the books, but it's kind of its own little mini universe, and it's much more lighthearted. It'll be much more comedic. And but I still needed to give the characters a purpose. I still needed to know why they were together. I needed to know what the tower was. And originally, I had the notion that this was going to be the Great Tower, and the Great Tower is a specific headquarters for wizards in one of my wife's books. But it turned out that it is now not going to be the Great Tower. It doesn't make sense for it to be the Great Tower. It needs to be something its own. It's going to be its own tower in something else. So I had to do a lot of world building. I had a gist of what I thought I wanted everything to be, and I originally thought I knew what the tower was. But the more I thought about it, the more I added to it, the more I started questioning the story and how it worked rationally and how it all made sense and it came together. It didn't make sense. It didn't come together. I needed to figure out this background for this tower. So I came up with the background for the tower, and part of the background for the tower is that the background for the tower is mysterious. So, but part of the tower's purpose is to be a prison. And a gateway to other worlds. So now that I have that in mind, when I look at these versions of the tower, I almost like one version of the tower was that this was the big part of the tower was the prison, and that's why it looked like a big octopus. And then this was where the good guys hung out. But now I'm thinking not so much. Well, I'm still going to have this be the tower and this be the prison. So, and it'll be a little bit more steampunky like this. So I think that this is kind of the direction I wanted to go with. But I think I might still put a little bit of some kind of octopus something in there because I think that's kind of neat. I don't know. I'll think about it. But so yeah, it came from this ink blot, and then you will see the video where I start working on. So and here's all the little ink blots. So now I've come back full circle. It's time to present who the winner of this month's Harley Quinn postcard will be. So the winner of this month's postcard is going to be Matt S. I'm gonna I'll leave out your last name, but Matt, you usually just go on Patreon. You go by the call sign Crunch. So Crunch, you win again. This is the second time you've won. So Matt, I'm going to be sending you this postcard as soon as I am done with it. I'm making it, and this is a message specifically for you, Matt. And I'm pretty sure that I will tell you this via Messenger when I send you the message that you won. But this time around, because the last postcard that I sent out to Matt got smudged because the paper that I was using at the time didn't quite grab onto the ink, and you have to be extremely careful, and it smudged a little bit. There was a little bit of an ink streak when he took it out of the envelope, and I offered if he sent it back for me to fix it. I'm not sure if he fixed it himself or not, or he just kept it that way. I don't know. Well, this postcard will be much less likely to streak. The paper that I am now using for the postcards is much more art friendly. It is in fact cardstock, and cardstock tends to take multimedia pretty decently. So congratulations, Matt. You're going to be getting Harley, and again, this is the second time he's won. So all right, and one more thing before I sign off. So I'm on Instagram, if you don't know. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is Luis Escobar Art. And I got contacted via Instagram. That's somebody on Instagram by the name of Undisputed Frost. So Undisputed Frost did something really cool, and he's got a YouTube. Undisputed Frost has a YouTube channel called Undisputed Comics, and he did this Black Terror Kid video review of my comic. And it's really cool. Like he just talks about it and he flips through it, and it's really cool. So I recommend you go check it out. I will put the link to this review in the description of this video and in my blog post where I'm going to post this video as well. So thank you, Undisputed Frost. That was very cool of you to do this review of my comic. And if you didn't know I had a comic, yeah, you can get it from Indy Planet. And I will link to my comic on Indy Planet in the description of this video as well, just in case you want to check it out. And it is a $9.99 34-page comic, and the reason why it's that high is one, it's a one and done. I don't think I'm ever going to do another version of that comic. And second, the quality of the comic is amazing. And third, I'm an indie publisher. I'm independent. I don't do mass comics like Marvel and DC, who could afford to do $2.99, $3.99, or $4.99 comics. They can, do print runs in the millions or the hundred thousands and make money. But this comic that I'm doing is print on demand, and the print on demand in and of itself is really expensive, and then I don't get any profit. I mean, I'm not going to become rich off of it. So, but I would like to, I mean, it's a completely different thing. It's a unique thing done by one person. It's not a mass production thing. It's something that's more labor of love thing. So I said this when I looked at the comic, and when I look at the reaction and all this other stuff, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Like when you hold it in your hands, you understand. You understand it. But if you don't want to spend the $99, $9.99, not $99, but $9.99, it's $10. And if you don't want to spend the $10, then just buy it digitally. It's $1, and then whatever, it doesn't matter. It's $1. So, all right. So thank you so much for being a patron. I hope you like these rewards. And as you can see, the postcards are getting more and more elaborate, more and more advanced, and that's a good thing because it's pushing me to become even better artist. And the reward of the postcard is now starting to really be something really worthwhile. You know, I'm really happy that I am pushing myself to make the postcards better and better and better, so that by the time I don't know, maybe by the end of the year, I'm doing these little mini paintings, and then you're getting something really good, you know? So I'm just going to keep pushing myself to try to keep making these things great for all of you. All right, so thank you so much for all your contribution and your patronage, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.